Clutch cable, remote. According to the service manual, each one of these 10 bolts needs to be loosened a quarter of a turn at a time in a crisscross pattern until they're loose. Once they're all loose, then you can just remove them, pack them all out by hand or whatever. So the first thing you do is 10mm socket, quarter of a turn, come down across here, quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn, etc. Okay, so I loosened each one a quarter of a turn in a crisscross pattern one time. It seemed kind of loose, but just to be safe, I did it again. Another quarter of a turn for each in a crisscross pattern. Now I'm just gonna take them out. Now they're just loose, finger loose, so I'm just gonna spin them all out. All right, got the bolts all loosened. Take them all out. See if I can't pull this clutch cover off of here by hand with one hand. I've never done this bike before. This is much different bike than the 2004 Yamaha R1 I had previously that I did the clutch on multiple times. Many times I had that clutch apart. This one, first time. Let's see what we got. Let's pop this bad boy. Normally I'd want to look down in here with the light and see what I'm looking at. Whatever. Might need to use that as a finger hold. Oh, look at that. Sweet. Comes right off. No problem. There you have it. Clutch cover removed. Gasket material needs to be scraped off. Okay, next step, 10mm, these three clutch thrust plate, clutch spring bolts need to come out. The service manual doesn't say anything about quarter of a turn or crisscross or anything, but I'm gonna do quarter. This doesn't really matter. Oh, let me put this camera down. Quarter of a turn, quarter of a turn. Great, now they're all loose. You can see that, so just a matter of cranking them out. All right, these three bad boys come out soon. I believe I have replacement springs and bolts, so I'll be replacing these springs and these bolts. That guy gets reused. Trash. Actually, I'll save these as spares. And I'll save these as spares. I'll probably throw them in a plastic bag. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go get a Ziploc bag. I can come back for a Ziploc bag. While we're here, we got the camera rolling, put those guys down there. And then, see about taking this pressure plate off. There you have it. We even get some clutch plates coming with it. Look at that. And the oil pan is here because that stuff's covered in oil. The rest of those I will pull out and then I'll replace them. Okay, a couple things to note here. These first two plates, I got a stupid long hair caught to me. These first two plates that came out with this thrust plate, these first two fabric plates, this one and this one, are a different part number than the next 7 plates. And then after that, the deepest one back is also the same part number as these first two. So you have these two and one on the other end of the stack, and then the center part of the stack is 1, 2, and then 5 more of those. So also sandwiched between these steel discs. So get those guys out. I got 2 magnets here. I'm just gonna, obviously, let's see, just do it this way. Sorry if you can't see nothing in that view. I'm just bringing them down here in the order which they came off the bike. You can see when I can get the fabric plate because the metal plate behind it comes right out. And you see when I'm taking these out of here, I'm putting them right down the way they came out. You see this notch right here, they were all lined up. Got some O-ring removers, those will do good. They hook around it and just pull it right out. Okay, here's the next part. The last one has these 2 metal rings in front of it. See the 2 metal rings that are coming off? There's one. This is the one that was farthest most out. One of these is kind of a bent ring. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bent ring. The bent ring is the one farthest most out. And then this other ring, followed by the last friction plate. Which, let's see if I can get that out there without too much trouble. Being all deep in there and everything. Actually, I could probably get it going from the outside. I can. There's slots up here. I just reached in and pushed it forward. Now that I got it going, I should be able to pull it out easier from here. Yep, sweet. And that's it. Okay, putting the new plates in. The new plates. Seven of these guys. 3 of these guys. One metal ring that's kind of, I don't know how to say it, conical shaped, it's cone shaped, and a flat one. So, first thing is we're going to put one of these guys in, the deepest one back, all the way to the back. And then we're going to put this flat metal ring in. And then we're going to put this conical shaped one in with the cone leaning outwards like this. Instead of putting it in where it's like this, you're going to put where it's like that. You're going to have it like that. The cone goes in like that. Okay, so if you'll notice, one thing, the first plate that goes in is a friction plate. And if you notice, this friction plate has a notch right there. They've all got that same notch on the friction plates. The metal plates don't have it, which I didn't even show you. I should have those over here. I'll get them in a minute. I'll show you those guys in a minute. This notch, they all line up. And when I took them out, that notch was lined up right with this bolt, with this wide slot. There's the narrow slot and then the wide slot. Obviously, it won't go in there. You'll find out if you try. The wide slot is where they all go. And I'm going to line that notch with that bolt. So you got the pin, first, second bolt to the left of that pin. That's how I'm doing that. So here's a 16330. First part to go in. And then we're going to put in the flat metal ring. It's flat, so the orientation shouldn't really be an issue. I'm going to reuse these, put the old parts back into these. In there, and we're going to take this one with the conical shape leaned out, not in but out. That's how the other one came out, just like that. And my next plate is a steel plate. So I'm going to grab my steel plates right quick. Now I'm going to count how many came out. How many steel plates came out? So many metal rings I got. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 metal rings. So I'm gonna put this metal guy in, and then I start working. The next 7 friction plates are gonna be this part over from this other bucket of oil. They've been soaking in oil for a few hours. All right, now we got those 7 in, and we go back to the first part number, the 16330s, the last 2 of these, and the last metal plate. So 16330. You really have to work to get this plate on here when there is no fiber plate, so when there is a fiber plate, it's even more of a pain in the ass to get this metal plate lined up. Don't ask me why. There it goes. I finally got it delayed. Okay, I'm gonna install my last clutch plate. Last friction plate and my last metal plate. And as I mentioned before, those are going to have to go on the thrust plate side. Service manual says I'm supposed to hit the thrust plate shaft with this guy with the teeth and everything on it with lithium soap based grease. So I'm actually going to put some on there as glue. Kind of use it to hold it in place. Okay, here's the thrust plate. So stick that bad boy in that hole. There. There we have those guys. And then we take this whole bad boy. We put it on here. Piece of lint. And then we slide all that into place, and there you have it. Wim bam. Wimbamya. Wimbamya. Put a little more grease in there to keep that glue in place. Hold on. Just gluing that bad boy in place. They say those teeth face backwards. So, there you have it. Teeth are faced backwards. When I took this clutch cover off, I already cleaned this edge and this edge. I gotta put and I took the gasket off, obviously. Clean the edges with a plastic scraper. Recording anyway. So, next step, we need some new springs. New bolts for these three. And then you got the 10 bolts. You got the gasket, which it's time to, so it goes like this. So the gasket's on. Next step, install the clutch cover. Oh wait. 7.2 foot-pounds on these guys. Next step is to install the new springs. One. Two. Three. All right, now that I got them all snugged up, I'm going to use the torque wrench to get them to 7.2 foot-pounds. Each one of these. 7.2. Right there, 7.2. Seven point two. Just double check them. Make sure I got all three of them. I'm not going to go past 7 on this one. Yeah. There you have it. 7.2 foot-pounds of torque. Now, let's orientate this guy with the teeth backwards. That seems about right. Sweet. That's on there. Just pull that to there. Yeah, right where it's supposed to be. I'm going to throw one of these old bolts in here just to keep this thing from coming off. I tested that. If the clutch plate is too loose here, now before I torque any of this down, I'm going to reattach my clutch cable and make sure my clutch operates, because these aluminum bolts are $8 each. It's like over $8 each. So these are like $85 worth of bolts that you can only use one time. Once you torque them, that's it. You can't reuse them. So I'm not torquing any of these right now. I'm going to put on my clutch cable. See, can I get some clutch action here? All right, I messed around for a few minutes. I figured out the orientation on this guy. When you're installing it, basically, that's it right there. Once you get right there, which would have been right here to start. So when you install it, you have this oriented here, then you get that right there, bam, now you're good. Put the cable in. Get a screwdriver in there. Pull this bad boy a little bit forward. Doesn't take much. There you go. Tighten that up, pull the clutch cable a little bit. Make sure that we're happy with the clutch operation. And since I did that once already, I go ahead and put these bad boys back in hand tight. Next and final step before putting the plastics on is do the double, triple torque on this. So anyway, we're going to go to 4.3 pounds on all of these. There we go. They've all been twisted to 4.3. Now I gotta loosen them all back up. 4.3, loosen 2.2, and then 90 degrees. Now I just got to find my 12mm open-ended wrench so I can tighten this bad boy, and I'm done. Pretty much done. That's it. The end.